Good, thanks, and yourself?
Not too bad. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you, yeah.
Alright. Okay, no hassle. So Joel, I just wanted to introduce you first. You are a skier and a mountain addict, is that right?
Yeah, that pretty much sums me up, yeah.
Yeah,
all the time.
This is the first time we were actually speaking for the first time, isn't it? We just came across each other on the Instagram, so we don't really know that much about each other, but firstly, welcome to the podcast. It's Training, Thought and Truth, and basically it's only set up this year. And I set it up because it was kind of just basically about the three concepts I had of being physically fit, mentally sharp, and your spiritual health, basically. So that's basically what it's about, and that's how we came into contact from the Instagram for the 2 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so what part of the world are you calling from, Joe?
I live in France, in Chamonix.
You live in France, but you're actually Welsh, though, are you?
I'm Welsh, yeah. I moved to Chamonix in 2011.
2011,
to
okay.
Like a ski season, but yeah, never left. Just saw
Really?
the mountains here.
What brought you over there?
Yeah, my brother was here doing a ski season. I came on holiday, saw the mountains, and then thought as soon as I finish university, I'm just gonna come out here for a bit of fun, and then got addicted to the mountains and never really left.
Yeah, and your brother does the same thing?
No, he doesn't. He left Chamonix the year after I moved here, and he works on yachts now. So he's gone from the mountain to the sea. But
yeah, it's a bit of a change.
yeah, but I stayed. Yeah, I did a bit more. Started climbing and started doing a bit more running and things, and just really just not necessarily just the mountains here, but just realised the potential of what I could do in the mountains and how much fun I could have.
Were you kind of running on the hills first before you got into the mountains?
Not a great deal. A little bit of running. I'm from Brecon in South Wales, so I grew up in the Brecon Beacons, where I did a bit of hiking, a bit of running and stuff, but nowhere near to the scale and the scope of what I do nowadays here.
Yeah.
Because here you meet so many people and you see what they're doing, and you almost get like not dragged in, but you want to do more and more things, and it's so easy here. All the mountains are so accessible.
Right. I've never been, but it's always one holiday I'd love to do, a skiing trip. It's funny. People always either want to do a big sun holiday or else a skiing holiday. Two polar opposites, but they both have their appeals as well.
Yeah, I've never won. I never went on a ski holiday as a child. So my first skiing and I came here as a snowboarder, but my first sort of ski holiday was a season. So it was, and that's why I wish I did it when I was younger, but I didn't know what I was missing almost. So it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I guess where we come from. Well, I'm in Ireland, but I guess we don't really get the opportunity to do that much of that, on the kind of hemisphere that we're living on, don't we? Know we have to kind of go to the likes of France.
Yeah, we used to get a little dusting on the beacons, go sledging or something, but I never enough to go skiing or anything.
Yeah, because you can see, first thing that struck me with your Instagram page is obviously you quickly see that your two main hobbies are the skiing and the mountain climbing. And I came across you are. Now, correct me if I'm wrong in saying this. UIMLA International Mountain Leader. Is that right?
Yeah.
So
yes,
Union of International Mountain Leaders Association. What can you tell me a bit about that?
So it's you start off in the UK. You have the Mountain Leader Award, which lets you take like groups and people and clients into the mountains on sort of non-technical terrain. And then they offer the step above, which is the International Award, which is similar to, in France, it's called the Accompagné de Moyen Montagne. So it's where I work now here in France, I can take people in summer sort of trail running or hiking, using where you don't go anywhere where you're going to use a rope intentionally, and not on any glaciers. So it's one below like a full mountain guide at IFMGA mountain guide. And then in the winter, I take clients and groups snowshoeing, sort of hut to hut. Once again, staying off a glacier and not going out with the intention of using a rope or any sort of climbing equipment. So it's I really enjoy it. It gets me out a lot, and it's a lot less stress than maybe a mountain guide has with the sort of the dangers that come with the high mountains. The things that I like to do myself, but I wouldn't personally want to do it with clients.
Yeah. I'd say it's a lot of responsibility, and imagine even to become the mountain leader, you'd have to go through an awful lot of training. Because I suppose in a way, if you're the head honcho up on the hills, you kind of have to be able to look after people as well, can't you?
Yeah. So for just the ML, you do 5 days of training and then 5 days of assessment. But before that, you need sort of 40 days of proving the quality mountain days to show that you are capable of being a leader in the mountainous environment. But if then you have the training and the assessment, which are normally held in the UK. I did that in North Wales, and then after that, to do the international mountain leader, you have a week's training in the UK for the summer, and then a week's assessment in France. France or Germany, they do one in Germany as well. For the UK, there's two centres that offer it there in the UK, one in Scotland, one in Wales, and then the same for the winter. You have a week's training and a week's assessment. So overall, it's a month of training and assessment.
Yeah.
But that's backed up with 80 days of proven experience in that environment.
I can imagine, yeah. And I'd say like that type of training, I guess you have to use. Do they use the old kind of? Like I'd imagine, like you'd have to know where you are, and these days we're lucky enough we have kind of GPS and all that. But what do they used to use the triangulation methods and all this kind of thing? Does that come into it at all?
Yeah, because you're building on the basis from the ML award, the Mountain Leader Award, which has a big scope and emphasis on navigation. So it's mainly like navigation, leadership, rope work, movement on steep ground, and then for the ML and the IML awards, you need to be 16-hour rec first aid trained. So they have to do the first aid certificate every 3 years to make sure you're current, and because obviously you are the first point of call in case of an accident in the mountains. Yeah,
it's a bit of weight on the shoulders, isn't it?
Yeah. Like you obviously try and minimise the risk of something happening, but most of the time, to us out here from my experience hiking here, it's like blisters, small sprains, and things. I haven't had anything serious or anything. But
what about yourself? Have you ever come across big injuries yourself in training or in any of your own hikes?
I haven't. Once again, it's touch wood, don't speak too soon. But all I've ever injured since being in Chamonix is my first day of snowboarding. I sprained my wrist. That was 9 years ago now, and then I've broken my finger mountain biking. But apart from that, I've been pretty lucky with any sort of injury from skiing or running or climbing.
Yeah.
But it's not that I don't take risks or anything. But whether I've been lucky or just with my sort of prehab, keeping strong so I don't get injured. Whether that's helpful or not. But I sometimes err on the side of caution. I'm not big on free skiing so much. Jumping off big cliffs and things. But I definitely, with the amount of skiing and running and climbing that I do, I think I may have been pretty lucky not to have any injuries.
Yeah, actually, I just came from. Well, I call it a bit of a hill run. Well, it's quite a hill. It's a mountain, but well, it's a large hill at least, but it's in Brannan Hill, Kilkenny, and that's why I was rushing back here. It's why I have a big red face on me now. I did 13.5k, but there was parts where I just couldn't run it. I'm trying to train with my friend who's a fitness instructor in the army, and he did 18k in the time it took me to do the 13.5, and he ran the whole lot. I don't know how.
Yeah.
But you can see, when you go from the road to the trails, we got the hiking runners, but even at that, a lot of close calls with going over my ankle and things like that. You know, you have to be much more alert and careful, don't you? Like in this different type of scenario, which I'm surprised that you've obviously done well to get away with that, because a few times today, and I'm not that long doing it, where I almost injured myself, I'd say.
Yeah, it definitely takes some building to it, and that's where I suppose which is why I enjoy trail running so much, because it does. It keeps you focused the entire time, because you're constantly looking and sort of it's almost like you're dancing on the trail. You know, you're jumping around. It's you have to really keep focused on what you're doing. Which I've never been a road runner. I get bored really quickly with the monotony sometimes of road.
Yeah, I do notice that when I went from the road running, you know, once you get up to the likes of like 10Ks, it's a lot of monotonous kind of plodding along, especially when you're by yourself. Where when you're doing the trails, you can take in the nature a bit of it and the scenery, and it's a bit more challenging as well. I noticed that myself. Kind of, that's where I'm kind of clicking with you there. And it's funny, you know, that you got into it as well, because you'd imagine being from Wales, you know, you'd have a rugby ball in your hand or something else. You know, what got you over there? Was it just purely the brother was there and you went over to check it out, or did you always have an interest in this?
No, I spent a lot of time in the hills in Brecon. I played rugby and cricket and other golf and stuff until I was sort of 16, 17. Then went off to uni, and I think it was like a couple of my brother's friends who went to Chamonix to do a season, and then. I sort of saw some, see pictures on Facebook. Oh, it looks cool. I'd like to. And then I think I lost a phone in uni, and my insurance didn't have that phone, so they sent me £500 to buy a new phone. And I was like, I'll just go on the ski holiday with this £500 to go and see my brother. And I'm so glad I lost that phone, because my first day here was New Year's Day 2010. So I arrived. My mum dropped me off in the airport super early. She was probably hungover as well as I was, and then I came here and just took the tram up on the New Year's Day to go skiing, and sort of popped out of the clouds and saw the mountains here, and it was just like it blew my mind of what the scale of these mountains here compared to back home.
Yeah.
And then that season sort of led me into doing more and more ski touring and other things with people who I met here, and just showed me what I felt like I'd almost been missing it. I wish I was here. I wish I grew up here almost. It's
funny. Kind of gives way to everything happens for a reason. The way you lose the phone and you get the few bob, and while your brother's over there, it's good timing, wasn't it? New Year's.
Yeah. There's no way I would have been able to afford a ski holiday in uni.
Yeah. And tell me, like, a couple of things stood out to me when I was going looking at your profile on Instagram. Well, first of all, the scenery is not what you see here. It's stunning. The icy mountains and all that, which I guess is the way it is. But there's a lot of the times the treks look like you're going it by yourself, which I'd imagine might be dangerous enough. But are you doing that by yourself?
Some things I do by myself, yeah, and some things might be. From people who don't have experience in the terrain or experience with the type of climbs and the type of hikes and runs and things, it would look dangerous. My mum, for example, will always message me like, "What are you doing up there?" But from the experience I've gained from going out with people and learning, I've got a lot of friends who are full mountain guides who I spent a lot of time with, and just people who have been doing this for 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
But I often go out. I've done big, 3,000-4,000 meter peaks on my own, and some climbs, some big skis on my own, where I'm more than comfortable on that type of terrain.
Yeah.
So have you seen Free Solo, the Alex Honnold climbing film?
No.
Where he's climbing these 1,000-meter vertical faces, but. To me that looks crazy, but he's so comfortable at that level that it's not a challenge, but to someone who doesn't understand it looks insane.
I guess probably at that stage, when you get to that certain extent, if you bring someone out, they're more of a hindrance, I guess. If you're out to set a name for yourself, or if you're setting a challenge for yourself, you're kind of maybe looking after them, I suppose, if they're not on your level. Would you see it that way in a way?
Yeah. Sometimes I like. Yeah, I tend to. I only do some of my big objectives with people who are on a sort of similar level to me. If that makes sense. But otherwise, like I have friends who come out who I'll take on sort of some of the easy alpine climbs here, just like for fun with them, and they might be climbs that I've done a few times on my own, but for them who've never been in this environment, it's like the most exhilarating experience.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm almost like I'm getting cold because we're moving so slowly or something, because I normally do it moving quite fast, or I've done it several times with like my girlfriend or with family members and stuff. But it's that I do things like that just so I see the look in their face and what they're experiencing of what I remember experiencing of my first time doing these climbs and things.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's great
as well. I'd say it's hard going though. I can imagine like even like whatever about running up kind of the hills and the trails. I'd say it's a different ball game when you add a bit of snow there as well. The resistance of that, kind of try to climb, peaks that are 1,000 meters and the likes of that.
Yeah, it definitely makes it harder. If like even on snow, if you get like hard packed snow, it's almost like walking up concrete. But like I went for a hike yesterday. It was a 1,000-meter climb, and we'd had 10 centimeters of snow at the bottom, and at the top was 30 centimeters of fresh snow. So by the top, it was sort of you step on it, it crunches down 20, 30 centimeters. You take another step and crunch down, and it does almost like double the effort you have to put in sometimes.
So it's a good calf workout.
Yeah, good calf, good glute workout, really good. I have my dog going ahead, so she packs the snow down a little bit, but it's still hard work.
I'd imagine that as well. Like you need a certain like if you were setting out on one of these 1,000-meter climbs, I'd imagine you have a basic kind of toolkit with you as well. I think I have seen a photograph of it. I probably obviously didn't know what I was looking at in it, where you had your tool kit set out. What would you have to bring your basic kind of survival kit when you're going out there?
For sort of these climbs I've been doing recently, just the training ones. I'm only hiking and going from Chamonix to 1,000 meters, going up to 2,000 meters on in the summer what's a hiking path, but now it's a very snowy hiking path to we have a train like a cog railway, which I take back down because I don't like running downhill on the snow. That's how I'm probably going to end up injuring myself. But when I go out doing like a big mountain climb, climbing. Last month I went and climbed the Bieshorn. It's in Switzerland. It's 4,100 meters.
Wow.
And that was from the car park. It was 2,500 meters to the summit. And for that I'd take some lightweight sort of like mountaineering boots, a small set of crampons, helmet, head torch, gloves, your basic sort of glacier gear, which is a harness, 30-meter rope, pulleys, carabiners in case anyone falls in a crevasse like my buddy, I can pull him out. And then always a small first aid kit, which like we're pretty lucky in the Alps here to have such good helicopter assistance.
Yeah.
So I'll carry as a mountain professional, I carry a radio normally just so I can go straight to the emergency channel. But there's only I think the kind of accidents you'll have here are either going to be very minor or quite severe for the type of things I'm doing. So I'll cover myself for the minor things, so like competes for blisters and things. And I always carry some what's it called, coagulants, like clotting agent and a bandage, just in case you did have a severe cut for a bleed or something. When normally you get a helicopter in 10-15 minutes here, sometimes quicker.
Quite quick, yeah.
But it's if you were to have an accident that means you couldn't wait 10-15 minutes, I'd like to be covered for that.
Yeah.
But it's a very small first aid kit for in that respect. But I tend to go very light, so I won't take much extra clothing. And if it's always the sacrifice you make then, where with extra clothing, if it gets too cold, you can't really carry on.
Yeah. Well, like you said, at least it is that type of area where you can get the helicopter around 15 minutes if things go very bad, and you have the radio as well. So at least in that way, but still, I'd imagine, it's not like running or cycling or normal sports where there must be a certain sense of danger in it. And I'd say you must have had some, maybe you didn't, but some close calls or some kind of dangerous moments along the way.
Yeah, I had a few close calls that were, whether it's down to just a lot in the mountains here, it can just be wrong place, wrong time, or just you always have what's known as like objective danger. So you might be climbing and there's a serac, like a big chunk of ice or rocks above you that it's hard for you to sort of to make a well-informed decision of where you're going to go or what time you're going to go. But I've been caught in a few little avalanches. Nothing big, because I think that I managed the risk, and maybe taken silly calls sometimes where I got caught in a little slide, but nothing where I've ever been buried or anything in large amounts of snow, and fallen in a couple of small crevasses, but once again nothing serious. So where I've been lucky in that respect, but it all comes down to your experience on the terrain, really.
Yeah, I guess you get the knowledge over time about the decision making and which route to take is not going to be as risky, and I guess that comes with just doing it, I guess, there and getting out there.
Yeah, and learning. A lot of it can actually be learned from textbooks and from classes, from courses, from friends, where you do learn about, if the slope in front of you sort of rolls over, there's a chance that you're going to have an avalanche starting from that rollover, and then you sort of read and interpret the terrain that you're traveling on. And yeah, it all comes down to experience and actually just like taking note and trying to learn from the mountains, not just being in the mountains.
Yeah. I'd say, have you ever come across kind of any amazing finds up the top of a 1,000-meter peak, or things that seemed out of place that were very interesting or anything like that?
You often find like just people who you find maybe shouldn't be there sometimes. That's about it. And like some people might look at me sometimes like that. I've been up some big 4,000-meter mountains in basically look to the average person like glorified running shoes. Mm-hmm. And they might think that I'm out of place, and maybe because I'm on my own and they're with the guide and they're roped up, and you do look, I've done my homework. I know that the route is, safe enough. Well, I feel it's safe enough for me. But you sometimes you go places where you're a bit like, maybe that person doesn't realise where he is, but maybe people more experienced than me look at me that way, and it's just it's a one big learning curve really in the mountains here.
Yeah. One thing I'm going to ask you about, and it's probably the main reason we came across each other. You're a vegan, is that right?
Yeah, for just over two and a bit years now.
Okay, and there's a lot, obviously, of talk about this, especially with a recent documentary came out, The Game Changers, as well. It has a lot of people talking about it from Netflix. But obviously, you're vegan from before that. What made you become vegan? The day I went vegan,
I did Chamonix to Mont Blanc and back to Chamonix, which is 4,400 meters vertical up to the highest point in Western Europe and back down to town. Then I went for a breakfast burrito at my friend's cafe with black pudding, sausage, egg, bacon, everything in. Went home, and I think it was either Cowspiracy or What the Health I watched with my girlfriend, who's studying nutrition. She's studying to be a nutritional therapist, and I watched it with an open mind. Like, went from, and then just after that documentary, I was like, well, I'll give it a go. I'll go vegan, and doing it with someone, like with my partner, definitely helped. Yeah. It made it easier because we were both changing. Yeah. And then it sort of rolled onto a week, read some more things. She picked up the China study, which is quite interesting read. I haven't read it, but she's read me through it. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of a mass study of vegetarian and plant-based diet eating. And then, watch a few more documentaries. And then it sort of just, I found I was eating better food. Like, I would just, not that it wasn't the fact that I was cutting out meat or dairy for me to start off with. It was the fact that I was just eating more fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
Which, you're always told in school and fruit. You're told to eat more fruit and veg. You get your 5 a day and stuff. But then when you realise you're getting like your 15 a day, you're like, surely this has got to be better. And then just reading more, watching some other documentaries, and although some of them you often get the reports and some reviews of them that they are quite one-sided, and then, to be fair, I think they're always going to be one-sided because they're trying to push a message almost. But after a while, I found that I wasn't feeling. It's really hard because I was never doing like a study on myself, so it's hard to say whether I was feeling any. I was training to eat better, or I was running faster, but I wasn't feeling any worse. So I figured I'd just carry on. And I've never felt like I was lacking energy or anything that made me think, oh, maybe I should stop this. It's bad, and if I can just go without, without it, then I didn't see why I needed it, and that's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah, sorry, because it's difficult not even just becoming a vegetarian, but like I've been doing it for the last couple of weeks now. Because I had the podcast, and I was trying different diets and different routines, and I'd started intermittent fasting in late August, start of September, and I'm still doing that, and I felt the benefits of it straight away. And then now for the last couple of weeks, while I'm running, I'm on a vegan diet, a plant-based diet, and I'm not sure. What I don't know about the results just yet. I guess it's early days, but I'm finding it hard to figure out, what meals to put together, what I should be buying. I just sometimes throw lentils in a pot and a bit of veg. It's kind of hard to get creative straight out the gate when you start out of it. And I guess I'm doing it by myself here, so I'm just kind of trying to. It can be a bit tricky, kind of starting off to figure out, because obviously mountain climbing, requires an awful lot from your body, and basically, what kind of what would be a good pre-hiking meal you put together that would fuel you for the likes of hiking, and what kind of like vegan snacks would you bring along even?
Yeah, I like this morning I went through to Italy and did a 1,000-meter ski tour with some friends. And for most days before I go breakfast before I go training or before I go skiing, I'll just have I think it's about 700 ml smoothie, which is just we'll have a banana, flax, chia, and hemp seeds, some ice cubes, a bit of soy or oat milk or whatever sort of plant-based milks in the fridge, water, peanut butter, loads of peanut butter. I get through kilograms of peanut butter a month. I love the stuff. And then some pea protein. And I find that gives me like a good sort of bulk of like a liquid food that normally, I think today I had that and then an apple on the climb, and that was enough for me. And normally my diet of when I'm actually doing the exercise can sometimes be quite varied. If I'm doing a big mission like going to climb sort of 2,000 or 3,000 meters up, I'll buy some sort of gels or some of the cliff blocks, but otherwise it's sort of whatever I can rustle up, whether it is just a Ziploc bag full of dates and figs, or we have the thing here, we have amazing boulangeries, bakeries, but there's only the bread, and there's one thing they call a pain sportif, which is like a sport bread, so it's bread with some nuts and some dried fruit in, and I'll buy one of those. But those are the only two things in like a huge boulangerie that are vegan. You go in all these pastries and patisseries that look so good, but it's basically I have two choices. But I'm fine with that. The pain sportif is great. It's a bit like a hot cross bun.
Yeah, okay. And do you think I think that like with the likes of, there seems to be, I don't know if you've noticed it, but when I drive to work, there seems to be a lot of billboards up lately pushing the vegan things at the moment. It makes me think, are they going to start bringing out a wider range of things? And maybe that's already there. I just haven't been seeing it.
Yeah, definitely. In the 2.5 years I've been vegan here in France are a little bit behind, but they're getting up to speed with it. It's definitely supermarkets are noticing. So here I can get like soy chicken nuggets or veggie burgers or loads of things that are vegan. But whenever I go back to the UK, I always see it as it's come on. It's huge. Like I think just today that like Morrison's are doing vegan sausage rolls and things, and it is becoming easier for people to just buy vegan. Like they're not necessarily healthy things, but they're definitely easy substitutes.
Yeah.
People to because a lot of the time it is people just want the convenient food, and if those things can be vegan, then it's because it's normally the convenient food that isn't vegetarian or vegan is normally not the best quality of meat product you're getting or whatever. So if you can get something that isn't meat, isn't a low quality meat, but tastes the same or tastes similar, then I think that's great for vegans and for non-vegans, for maybe vegetarians who haven't had a sausage roll in a long time. But
as well, I was told to kind of stay away from the meat substitutes. If you're doing it, stay plant-based. So that's what I have been trying to do. And I might do in 2 weeks, but I've slipped twice already, not like in conversation with someone grabbing a bowl of we have something called coddle in Ireland. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's like it sounds horrible, but it's like a soup stew with like rashers and sausages and potato and onions.
Okay, yeah.
And my mother used to make it when we were growing up, and I stayed in her house on Wednesday night, and she had a big pot of it, and it was freezing outside, and I was talking away to her, and she put it down in front of me, and I started eating it, and I was on my second bowl, and I realised what I'd done, and it just, because I guess maybe because I'm new to it, even it just slipped my mind, but I guess, did that ever happen to you in the beginning? I wonder, like, did you slip at all, or do you slip much?
Occasionally, but not. It won't be for any meat or anything. Someone will have a bit of chocolate, or I'll buy a bit of chocolate, and like I haven't read the ingredients fully, and it might say like, here I'm also dealing with the ingredients in French, so it's that much harder to notice little things, and you'd be like laitier, and you're like, what could that? Oh, what's that? Oh, it's like milk butter, and you're like, okay, all right. But I'm not going to throw it out, because I think that's even worse. So sometimes I'll either try and give it to a friend, or if I've eaten most of the thing, I'll just finish it off. But I haven't had any slips with meat. It's normally just little things like that, or you go around a friend's house and they'll cook something and you'll eat it and they'll be like, oh, I put butter in it. Like, well, like you've just cooked this nice big meal for me. I'm not going to starve and sit here and make a big fuss over it, because I also don't want to waste any food. But
so what's your idea of like a takeaway? Because I guess you and your girlfriend must sit down and say, right, what are we going to get?
Here we don't. There's a few places in town that do sort of veggie burgers takeaway, but otherwise, in Italy today I had a vegetarian pizza with no cheese on it. And like having a nice Italian pizza, it's more about the dough and the tomatoes anyway. So I don't miss the cheese on pizzas that much.
Yeah.
But I always get ridiculed by my friends. Like, that's not a pizza. What are you eating? Like, well,
you do come against a clash as well, don't you, when you try it? I said that I'm going to try it because, well, my idea of trying it was that someone said to me they're doing meatless Mondays, and I think this is pushed. It was on that documentary. Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think it was, who did the meatless Mondays, and most everybody else was on it that was completely vegan. But I said, why are you doing that? And they said, take a look at this. This is only a couple of weeks ago. So I did take a look at it, and I was kind of surprised at the results that people were getting. So I said, because I have the form or the platform of the podcast, and I said, I'm going to put up what I'm doing with intermittent fasting, and like, instead of throwing down diets and saying, oh, I don't think that's good, I may as well do it myself and experience it and see while I'm training if it helps me or not. So that's why I was doing it, really, you know. But let me ask you, this is maybe a two-part question. It's kind of more in keeping with the podcast as well. Firstly, on the physical side of things, obviously we see different benefits from different sports when we train. Like, you know, when you run, your calf muscles develop. It has a direct impact on your cardiovascular health and your weight. You lift weights, you kind of become physically stronger. You shred flabbiness and you start toning. And then on the mental side of things, you know, we benefit from common forms of exercise kind of dramatically in the form of mental health through chemical releases. But going for a cycle also, you know, you kind of find, I think, a humbling experience, kind of, you know, being out in the nature, and it's much more close paced. Rather than, you know, you can drive by these things sometimes and, you know, see them in 2D through your car window at 100 kilometers an hour, rather than getting out there and doing them. What I'm asking is, what are the benefits you see from your mountain climbing or your skiing, kind of physically and mentally as well?
From eating plant-based?
No, sorry, from your mountain climbing or from your skiing.
For me, I just love being outside, to be honest, and that's like it is. You know, sometimes I fail to stop and just enjoy like the beauty and the amazement of where I am sometimes. But it's for me, it's just moving in the mountains. Yeah. Just you know, it's different when they're on your doorstep, and it's like I feel like I have to take advantage of them and just go and have fun in them and share fun experiences in them with other people who are also enjoy the same sort of activities. Yeah. But benefits is it keeps me fit, it keeps me healthy, and I enjoy it at the same time. Where it's not, I know some people may enjoy going to like the gym and running on a treadmill for an hour, but some people maybe don't, but feel like they have to do it to keep fit. True. Whereas I'm blessed here, where I can just go for like a hike for an hour, and it's keeping me fit, and I'm also in this amazing place where, you know, you can actually stop and look, and you'd be like, wow, you know, it's like you're looking at a postcard of a glacier and some big mountains, and I might be there with a dog or my girlfriend or some group of friends, and you're just like, it's I sometimes have to pinch myself, and I have a lot of friends who come out and they're like, oh, you're so lucky to live in a place, you know. It's like, well, anyone can come and move out here, but it's about maybe making the choice and the commitment of what you can do out here. But it's I do feel lucky to be able to live and work here and just enjoy these, you know, these big mountains and the snow and the ice and everything that might not be here for forever, and it's a proper, maybe a first world privilege to be able to live and play in these mountains all the time. Yeah, and I guess what you're saying is, like, a lot of people who go to the gym and go on the treadmills or lift the weights don't necessarily want to be there. I guess, you know, where you're getting your workout, I guess it's the difference between a workout and a hobby, really, isn't it? Like, you know, you're doing something you love while getting all them benefits. It's kind of, you know, that's why the trail run is a little bit like that as well. It's not necessarily hardship, running on the road, kind of boring, looking for songs that'll keep you interested or podcasts or whatever. You know, kind of when you step into nature, out of the gym environment, you kind of get a bug for the scenery around you or the experience itself. And I can imagine that's kind of my experience with the trail running and cycling, but I can imagine doing what you're doing is another step above that again, you know. But is there a goal kind of you're aiming for? You know, like I know you said about you're looking to reach 200,000 vertical meters this year. Is that right? Yeah, that's just sort of stemming off last year. My buddy Charlie had a goal of doing 1 million vertical meters as a group. Yeah. 1 million meters for Mind, working with the Mind mental health charity. Okay. Raise money for them, and he's like, we'll find 20 people to do 50,000 each, and I was like, well, 50,000. I feel like I could easily do 50,000, so I was like, well, I'll aim for 100, 20,000 a month. I think it was an average of like 680 a day or something, but I was only working 4 days a week from midday, so I had plenty of time in the mornings to take the dog out and go climbing on skis. But finishing the winter on sort of 110,000, and then going running. And for my work this summer, just working, I did 50,000 meters and 1,000 kilometers just walking and running with clients. Yeah. So it just sort of kept going up and up and up, and now it's to the point where I was like, I just 200 for the year. It seems like a nice round number, which I should ask this week. Hopefully, maybe it comes down to next year. Just setting another goal. It's not for any particular reason. It's just to get me. It's not even motivated actually, because I'll go and do it anyway, regardless of the number. But it's just a challenge, you know. So something.
Oh, yeah, that's quite cool. Because I know, I guess when you're saying that, it's like elevation gain. Is that right? Like from
elevation gain. Yeah.
Like I know the run we did there now, it was like 500 meters elevation gain. We did that today. That was tough. You know, my legs were sore after. You know, and I was cold almost immediately after stopping it, and nowhere near the kind of weather you're having. And I couldn't wait to get in the shower or eat something. You know, because I was doing it 20 hours into a fast as well. But even that, like, it couldn't run. It's the other guy ran that. But I could say, I can. That's an amazing to be able to do 600 meters in a day and then do it again the following day. You say you gain innovation while you're working. What are you working at over there?
Working as the guide, as the trekking and running guide in the summer.
Okay, it's great.
So I did a few laps of the Tour de Mont Blanc, which is like 160 kilometer, like hut to hut walk around Mont Blanc, and then a couple of times walked from Chamonix and ran from Chamonix to Zermatt, which is the Haute route, which is 185 kilometers. And it's a 12,000 meter height gain and loss over 10 days.
That's tough. Tell me, has it ever crossed your mind the likes of Everest or anything like that?
No, not really. Like I don't even have any aspirations to go and climb in the Himalayas. I'm not one for suffering in the term of sitting in a tent freezing for a few days or something. I like suffering on like 1 day objectives, like a big 4,000 meter height gain up and down or something. But I'm not. Maybe partly it's also like the money side of things. I don't.
It's very expensive.
I like. Pardon?
It's very expensive.
Yeah.
I only looked it up. I looked it up before, just speaking to yourself there the other day. Because I was going to ask you, like, if you ever had it as a goal, but it was like 14 grand for the training for it, or something like that, or something ridiculous. And I can't remember the figures, but I remember like thinking, I think I googled, well, like, how would you climb Mount Everest or the preparation for it, and it was straight away. I was like, whoa, that's obviously for people who are rich, or
Yeah, I think it comes closer to like $60,000 to $100,000 for the whole thing. Yeah, it's ridiculous, and for something that it's not, it's still tough, but it's at that time it's just people with no experience are just paying people to almost drag them up it now, and it doesn't have the appeal to me. If I want to do that, if I ever got the opportunity to do it or something, it would be maybe when I'm at the peak of my physical capabilities, and it would be something like try and do it with no oxygen or something like that. Where it is more of a challenge. Where
I know there's people that they obviously pay and that live local there, and they carry all their gear up with them, and their oxygen and all this kind of thing. And I don't think they get paid very much, but I can imagine. Would you say if tomorrow came around and someone said to you, look, you won a trip, or you won a free pass up Everest, would you be well out for it?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. Just because you see how, especially this year, there was like traffic jams of people to get to the summit, and it just doesn't seem like that's not I love it when I get to the top of a mountain, and it's just me and my buddy, or just me, and you're just standing there, and you're like, yeah, it's pretty special when you can just be standing on top of a mountain just on your own, or with a couple of friends or something, and for the like waiting in a queue at 8,400 meters or something, 200 people who are all going to touch the summit, take a photo, and come back down. It just becomes more of a tourist attraction than.
Yeah, I guess it becomes people's checklist just to say, yeah, climbed it, rather than people who are enthusiasts to like enjoying the sport themselves or whatever. Because I know, but there is still, I think, like I'd read, like over 300 people died in the last 100 years climbing it. I think it's 5.5 miles, because I was looking up, I read a bit of cosmology and that, and I think the largest mountain they've ever observed is actually on Mars. It's like 50.5 miles, so it's 3 times Everest or whatever. But I could, like you're saying, you like the feeling of climbing up. I was going to ask you about that, because to get a certain satisfaction or gratitude when you finish a big run, or when you finish a long cycle, But I can imagine the likes of climbing up a hill or climbing up a mountain full of snow, 4,000 meters, is an unbelievable feeling. It's a different feeling altogether.
Yeah, it's like last month when I went at the Beeshorn, it was we left Chamonix at 1:45 in the morning, 2-hour drive. I think it took us about 5.5 hours to get to the summit, and you're standing on the summit. It's really windy. You're like, stop, enjoy the moment, look at the site, take it in. But then it's sort of, you're like, I feel a sense of achievement. But then you also have that, I've got to walk down 2,500 meters and 12.5K, and it's sort of, it does take it away a little bit from the experience to be a bit like, oh, this is gonna be painful, the long walk down. But then once you get down, you get off the glacier, you start hitting the path, and you're a bit like, it starts to sink in a bit more more on the descent. It's never really, for me, you hit the summit and you're like, yeah, my day is done. What a great, because you always have the descent.
Yeah.
And that's normally when things go wrong, and you're tired. It's a long day. I think we were moving for 10 hours that day, and it just feels a bit like. And then it almost feels like your summit is getting back to the car. when you can take your boots off and just be like, now we've done it. Now I finished. Getting to the summit is half the challenge.
Yeah.
But
it is. Do you track it? Like, do you have an app? Like, do you put it on? Do you go on Strava and hit your GPS on your watch or your phone, or what way do you do it? Like, how do you measure your incline?
So I'm supported by Sunto, so they make GPS watches and dive devices and things. But I've got a couple of their watches that I track everything on, and that does go to Strava. I don't use Strava. I use their Sunto app and Moves Count app, which I can just get up on my computer, and you can sort of select. You can see all of your activities. You can look at month by month your overview, and it gives you a total duration, distance, ascent of the year or the month. And it's more for me, and not even, it's more to compare for me month by month or year by year of my training. Whereas I don't use Strava so much, and I understand Strava, but for me, I'm not into the competitive side as much. Where I know my brother does a lot of road cycling, and he's like, I used to live in Monaco, and he's like, I beat so and so up this hill, and you're like, oh, okay, it's not what gets me going, but for some people, it's Strava is life for some people. I think for trail running and mountain, for running and for cycling, but mine is just so I don't have to write it down. It's so convenient to have it on my watch. Has a barometer, so it's pretty accurate for the elevation gain, and it just logs everything down, puts it on a map view with the GPS, and it's just quite interesting in kind of a nerdy way. But it's it also serves as a logbook of when did you do that climb last year? What was it like? I can have a look, and I did it on this day, and it took this long.
It's good to have it all documented as well, though, isn't it? Because there might be coming one day where you're not doing it anymore, and you can look back at it and know your effort, or if you do the same hill twice. I know there is that competitive side of Strava, especially with the cycling. You find the segments, and someone went up a hill this fast, and I know a lot of people who wouldn't go near Strava or are putting their privacy on because, especially when you start out doing a sport, if you can only do a kilometre or two jogging, it's very disheartening going on to the likes of Strava and seeing your friends doing 10k runs or 15k runs. So you almost don't want to post your run.
Yeah, it can be quite demoralising, I suppose. You think you're like, I should be doing more, but they don't have their Strava records from 10 years ago when they started running and they were only doing 2k. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think in two ways, like it's wrong in a lot of ways because I think it discourages people. Like I use Strava, but I think it discourages people by I'm going to appear under this guy's 10k run now as my 2k run or whatever. But I guess the idea that you should more kind of compare yourself to who you are last year and improve on yourself and compete against yourself. And I guess that's what with all sports, isn't it? Because you're most like you're not the same as anyone else. Someone else could be, genetics could come into play. They could have a lot of experience. They could have a family involved in sport for years. They could have different injuries and diets and challenges. And I think it's important for people to remember that as well. We can get very competitive with the likes of the tracking apps, but they are very good for someone who wants to improve themselves. Like I said, like if you went up a hill, you probably would like to not beat the next guy who went up the hill, but your own time from previously, or
it's a good measure of your improvement. It's like if I've got this climb, I'm going to go do it again tomorrow with the dog. It's like the 1,000-meter climb, and I know I have sort of 57 minutes or 58 minutes where I'm like, that's a good time. And if there's the snowy, like I'm going to be hour 10, but if I take an hour 30, I'm like, I must have been tired because I was pretty slow that day. It sort of gives you
down to what did you eat or how much sleep you got as well, or try and improve little things when you're monitoring yourself,
or just generally like, wow, I must be getting stronger because my times are coming down and down and down and down.
Yeah,
it's good to keep track of everything for that, and that's why I suppose they have these apps and these watches and phone applications to log everything, just so if you disregard the competitive side of it, just for your own personal, just keeping an eye on it, right? Because before, I suppose, if you had a personal trainer or something or a coach, then they would be writing this stuff down. But
exactly, and it kind of replaces that. I agree with you 100%. Like if you forget about the competitive side with other people, and not compete with yourself, but you can log your progress and tweak things, and it's nice. That's the nice feeling, I think, from going on and seeing these things. Like I've noticed it. Like this year, I couldn't even do a 5k jog without stopping. And now I'm doing 10Ks, and I did a 13K hill run today. And, that's nice for me because all my friends, some of them are boxers and some of them are personal trainers through the army and GA players all their life. They're cracking out 30K jogs, or I was doing 3K and stopping in the middle of that, And but still, the one good thing is, the kudos or, when people like it, it does, people can be more encouraging, I think, than they are negative anyway, you do 1 kilometer walk or doing that hill run. It's better than sitting on the couch anyway. You're getting out there and physically and you're mentally kind of getting out there, and I think it helps an awful lot. And I don't think people should be discouraged from the competitive side either.
Yeah, I suppose for every 100 people who are going to say well done, there's always going to be one person who's going to say, only 3K.
Yeah, exactly.
There's always, but they might be running their whole life, or maybe they don't even run and they just want like that way inclined. But it's just the fact that if you're getting out there and doing it, it's still better than sitting at home doing nothing. And there's
sorry, go on.
So there's thousands and millions of people out there who do these things, but don't have a phone or an app, and they still do them. It's just because it's not logged. That's a lot of the people now. There's that if it's not on Strava, it didn't happen.
Yeah, you often see that as a meme on the internet. If it's not Strava, But as well, like you said, for every 100 people, there could be one person. But I guess that's in all walks of life and in all aspects. Like, if you're afraid to do something because of one person out of 100 was going to criticize you, then you wouldn't do anything.
Never get out of bed. Yeah.
because you get criticism, like we said about the vegan thing. I got a lot of criticism, and I'm only doing it 2 weeks, and people are like, "Oh, what are you doing? What are you at?" and all that. But I said, "Well, isn't it worth investigating yourself firsthand?" And it might be different for some people. Some people mightn't get any effect from it. Some people do it for moral reasons. But why not try it? And if you listen to that one voice that was a negative voice, like I wouldn't have probably started a podcast. I wouldn't have been out doing my hill run today. And like yourself, like who knows where you'd be if you focused on that one negative. I know it's hard for people with a lot of weight on them and want to get going on a sport and don't want to show everyone that their heart rate was 180 when they were doing 1K runs. But if I saw that, I give them a thumbs up, because fair play to them for getting off the couch. Once you move, even the walk, you're lapping the person that's on the couch, really.
Yeah, and they're the type of people who maybe would give them criticism as like people, like it's just not. They might make fun of someone who's fat or something, or overweight or whatever, and that's but you're not helping them do it. No. To get to lose the weight if you're going to make fun of them or something. It's just like it is just I don't know. I think they're just some people are that way inclined. I suppose it just I have friends here who are like, oh, I went for a run. It's nowhere near as big as what you did. And I don't care. What the run I went for is nowhere near as quick as the run Mo Farah went for. There's no point comparing yourself to other people. It's like, as long as you're doing something and you're doing it for yourself and for the right reasons, then. There's people who climb bigger mountains and ski steeper lines and do everything better than me, but I'm not doing it to compare myself to them. It's like
they say with boxing,
you're not doing yourself any favors.
It's like with boxing, they say it's always a quicker guy or a stronger guy, or there is always someone out there doing it. You're no good comparing yourself, because what will happen is you'll get to a point where you beat the people you're after, and then there's another person above that, and you'll never stop. You'll never be content with that. And it's not doing your mental health any good as well, I think, And, you don't really get anywhere or achieve anything for yourself then. You're running after other people's goals rather than your own goals. I think that the reason I'm doing it really is, like, there's a couple of reasons. At first, it's health, first and foremost, and, your longevity of your life, your cardiovascular health, and then my son as well. I like to be a good influence on. He sees me eating well, and it's one thing that I think the whole school system's let us down with. The whole PE thing. A lot of people give out about why is that tied into school, but that should have been a sit down class one Tuesday and an exercise class on the Thursday, and they should have really, I think, really pushed that home, drive that home, that this is exercise should be key every day, at least a half an hour. They recommend that, but they don't push it enough, and it's tough, you see younger kids or this generation and they're a bit heavier, and it's hard to there's a lot of distractions from people exercising now, I think, the phones and the PlayStations and the indoor life, it drags people away from wanting to get outside, and that it's sometimes you come home and you go from work to home and you're within them four walls and you forget about what's outside. We went for a walk last night. It was cold, but you see the moon and the stars and you're out in the fresh air, and you don't get that feeling from watching a TV program, and
no.
You should really, we should appreciate it more in terms of that. And same when you're out running, doing trail runs or going up side of snowy mountains, you're taking in, everything, and it's much better than sitting at home, besides the unhealthy aspect of it and getting fatter or whatever, but the whole aspect of being there and living it out and enjoying the experience.
Yeah, I think before we got a dog a couple of years ago, and before I had the dog, I'd still go out skiing, running, climbing, but then as soon as I finished that, I'd come home and just sit in the house. You feel like I've done my exercise, it doesn't matter. But then as soon as you get a dog, you come home, and then I've got to go for just a walk for an hour, and it just gets you out of the house. And I think for some people, if they're struggling, depends obviously what the type of lifestyle and the work life and things. But if you're struggling to just get out, get or borrow someone's dog. You just go for a walk. It's great. Definitely. You know, like my dog, she needs an hour every day at least of decent exercise, and it just forces me to get out and do that hour every day.
Yeah, which is great, because you see, like, we live in a housing estate, and you can see dogs, and I'm more mindful of it. Big dogs in people's back gardens that aren't getting their hour walk, and I think that's terrible. It's the reason I don't have a dog now, is because, I would struggle with the time to get it out. And I don't think that's fair on the dog, and especially with a small garden in a house, in the States and all. I'd rather wait until, if I buy out in the country in a few years or something like that, and at least they can have a proper. But what type of dog do you have? Is it a big dog? It must be decent size to carry up them snowy mountains.
Yeah, she's about 30 kilos. She's a Italian Bracco with a German Pointer, so she's sort of like looks like quite houndy, like Basset houndy, but Labrador size sort of thing. But she's super strong. She loves the snow. The first time she gets in the snow every year, she's jumping around in it. And she'll do 2,000 meters vertical, 30 kilometers. She's strong.
Yeah.
She didn't do much the first year, and I think she got a bit frustrated, like only getting walks where she had all this energy. But I wanted to her to have a long and adventureful life, so I didn't want to. Some people push their dogs too much in the first year, and then you end up with medical issues, like hip problems and things. But now she comes with me most, even when the snow's like well over her head. She'll be bouncing her way down through it. And
how do you find that's much better than going alone? Like the companionship of it, or just the?
Oh, massively, yeah, massively. That's what when we didn't choose a dog like from a breed or anything. It was we saw a picture in town in the vet in the pet shop. Someone wasn't expecting their dog to have puppies. Had 10 puppies. We went to have a look at it, and I was speaking, to the owner of my dog's the mother, and he's like, yeah, she loves the mountains, loves the snow. Showed me some pictures. Like, okay, this is the type of dog that maybe I want, because I'd want it as a companion to come in the mountains with me all the time. And it was a big deciding factor. I wouldn't have a dog that was going to sit at home or could only do like 5K and be tired. But and just going out on my own, it's like I have fun with my dog, running in the mountains and playing in the snow and stuff. And it is like just having that. So even though she can't call for help if I broke my leg, but anything, it's not like having a human friend with you. But I definitely have great fun with her in the mountains, climbing and running and skiing.
I've never really heard of. Well, I guess I'm never really talking to mountain climbers, but I didn't realise. Is that a common thing, bringing dogs out on the mountains?
Oh yeah. Today when we went through to Italy, we just ski touring, like climbing on skis within a ski resort, but it's not yet open. And there must have been 20 dogs there, and I didn't know the area very well, so I didn't take my dog. But halfway up, I was a bit like, she would have loved it. Like, I wish I brought her. Like, she loves running and playing in the snow, and she'd easily do 3 or 4 hours of walking in fairly deep snow. And a lot of people in France, in Chamonix, it's a big dog culture here. Dogs are allowed in every bar and restaurant.
Really? Wow.
Dogs walk. Or like I don't use a lead with her when we walk through town. And most other people don't with their dogs, and it's so they're definitely like part of the community, the society, the community, and the culture here is having a dog.
Yeah.
And going running, climbing, skiing with the dogs, which is great. I love it.
I think that is great. Dogs. I always had a soft spot for dogs. We always had dogs growing up in the countryside, and dogs are a very special type of pet. I think they're more in tune with, if you have a cat, or not putting down other animals or pets or anything like that. But I think dogs are more kind of dedicated to you, and they sense what's going on a little better, and they always have more time for you. Like you could have a shit day and come home and feel like that, where even if they had a shit day where some farm kicked up the arse or they got a bang or whatever, they're always happy to see you and ready to go for that walk. And and like you said, you get a dog, and it actually does, I think, motivate people to get out of the house more and bring you for a walk, which in turn obviously that's how they help your mental and physical health as well. They get you out, going out and getting the fresh air in you and getting the miles in the leg done, and because they're full of energy that way. I think that sounds great.
Yeah, well, they do. Then there's some schemes I know of in the UK where my friend, where he works, it's like bring your dog to work Friday, and everyone like over the moon. There's all these dogs running around and just like you stroke and cuddle, play with dogs and stuff. And I think it's great for people. If you're not a dog person, maybe it's not, but most people generally, especially if it's not a dog that you've associated with being like a mean dog or something, or aggressive. But I grew up with dogs.
Yeah.
So you just have that feeling. You see a dog, you're like, oh, I want to stroke your dog.
And it helps kids growing up. I think like it builds their immune system as well. I believe, and it's very beneficial in a lot of ways. I think
And just you're like being comfortable around animals and things, and just especially the bigger animals. Some people are like terrified of cows and horses, where they're just like, if you just picture them like big dogs, which is pretty much what they are.
Yeah, because you're always going to come across, like, once you have a dog, you're always going to come across them situations with a dog, with people who have dogs, and you go by their house, it's always going to be a part of life. To get used to them is a good thing as well.
Yeah, now I would live without her. She's great.
Yeah, well, as well, they become family members almost. We put a dog down there a few years ago, and I always talk about this guy Max. He was my dog. He was 16. He was a golden lab, big golden lab, very smart dog, like iconic dog in terms of, we had a lot of dogs, but even all my friends remember this guy. But like, we had my father and myself and my brothers all on our knees crying in the vets, putting him down, and we were all saying, my father was like, thanks to mine and the family, and even now, that was 2011, I believe, so it's 9 years ago, coming up on 9 years now, but still, like, if people are talking about him, you can hear the emotion in their voice. They become family members when they're there that long.
Oh yeah, massively. I've spent more time with my dog in 2 years than I've seen my nan in the last 30 years. It's like, I know it's not like you're like valuing relatives of your dog, but the amount of time and the experiences and the relationship you build up with the animals that spend every day, all day with you. Normally, it's
that's the thing. You're like going through your experience of your favorite hobby with that animal, with that dog, and you're both sharing that experience, like, of going up constantly through the hardship of the mountains and overcoming the 2,000 meters or whatever. It's definitely to count for something.
Yeah, and I can see how much she loves it as well, which is like, it gets me loving it more. And then I stop thinking about like my legs are burning, and I'll start playing with her and stuff. And it takes your mind off it sometimes. Yeah,
I'd say it's a big mental push. I'd say. Well, what I was going to ask, actually, for getting into it, and at the level you're at now, is there what's your kind of driving force for or motivation? Because obviously you get something out of doing what you're doing, or else you would have packed up and went home to Wales a long time ago. My thing is just because I like to keep on top of my fitness and just push myself fitness-wise, just so I can do bigger things in the mountains. It's not like I want to go, say, up and down one hill in say it took me 5 hours a few years ago. Now I can get up and down it in 2 hours. It means I can go and do that hill and another hill in 4 hours. Like a bigger day in the mountains, or cover more ground in the mountains in the same amount of time, and just have these sort of bigger adventures where maybe it wasn't possible to leave my house, climb up the mountain, then do like a rock climb, get to a summit, and then come back down in time for dinner. It might have taken 2 days, but when I can really see the improvement where I'm just doing it at home by dinner, that's what keeps me motivated more than anything. Just being able to see how much quicker I'm doing things now, or how much more I can do in the same amount of time. Yeah, and do you do a bit of rock climbing at all? Obviously, it must be part and parcel of. Yeah, with the mountain climb, I don't do a great deal of like going out to rock climb. If I'm doing like a summit that involves
climbing on rock, then that's the only time I do it. I don't go up and down like the same little wall practicing and doing that sort of rock climbing. I just tend to do it more in the mountains, but it's it's part and parcel with mountaineering, sort of these big mountains.
Yeah, that's kind of the lower body and the upper body getting in there as well, isn't it? Well, any advice for people looking to get into the sports, either skiing or the mountain climbing in the snow? Because I'd imagine you've learned stuff that you said, geez, I wish I knew when I started out, maybe. Or did you have good guides? What would your advice be to other people trying to get
in? For people who want to get into skiing, I suppose there's great courses I know that they do at Glenmore Lodge in Scotland. Or if you have the ability to come out to the Alps, there are sort of great and not even like compared to some ski holidays what they can cost, but expense wise they do great like introduction to ski touring or introduction to ski mountaineering, where you'll come out and you'll learn the basics with a guide and with a group of other people who are the same sort of level as you. But unless you have I came here and if you come and move here, you do learn little bits from people and go out with different people, so you have the options to learn sort of peer to peer rather than doing a course or something. But I've done a few courses in sort of avalanche awareness things that I feel that if you spend a lot of time skiing and in snow environment, it doesn't hurt to just learn as much as you can about it. And it's the same with the trail running. There's loads, a big boom in trail running in the last few years, definitely, of mountain running, and there's loads of great little courses now. If you don't have I think I'm very fortunate to live here and get out and do it a lot, and I obviously didn't start at this level. If you don't have the ability to go out and constantly push yourself, and if you almost want like the sort of little kickstart to get you going, then there's great little courses of I know my friend Maggie runs one in London, and it's just like introduction to trail running, where they meet in a park and you go on easier trails. You start off on easy trails, just running on grass. People might, if you've grown up a road runner or did a lot of road running, just running on a bit of grass can feel like you're out of your comfort zone. I'm going to slip over, but you start running on your toes or learning different techniques, and you just need to build from there. I'm not saying just go out and run some mountain trail straight away, because then you're going to injure yourself. But definitely, spending more and more time on trails, you will just naturally develop the strength in your ankles and also like the mental awareness for running fast on undulating ground with rocks and tree roots and everything. It's not just about running at the end of the day with the trail running.
And you do feel the benefits of it, because I was doing a few hill runs and then I did a flat during the week, and I think it was my quickest 5k I hit, personal record, probably because I was building the legs and getting out. Now it was very boring 5k because I've been used to the trail running and all.
Yeah,
you can see the benefit of it. And like you said, there's a big boom. There's a big boom in the fitness in general, I think, in the last few years, and maybe it's with the age of technology, the apps and the smartwatches and the social side of things with the Strava and posting it to Instagram and this, that, and the other. And I guess a lot more people I think our generation is getting out a lot more than the last generation, where the hobbies were having a few pints or I think we're shedding the old beer belly, stereotypical father, I think, thing. Do you think that mountain climbing and skiing is on a rise, kind of taking a boom at all at the moment, or can you see it?
Definitely, yeah. Especially with the ski touring and ski mountaineering. Just since I've been doing it in the last 8 years, it's grown like exponentially. It's so popular now, and I think it's probably because of the cost side of it's come down a lot. It's become bigger, same as like road biking in the UK. It's gone huge in the last 10 years because road bikes have become more affordable, decent road bikes and the kit, and then because people see it on Facebook, see it on Instagram, it's all this information is at your fingertips. If you want to go and do things or get into it or read a blog someone did or listen to a podcast, it's so easy to pick up new hobbies nowadays, and also so affordable that a lot of these outdoor hobbies are just blowing up. Really, you know, it's becoming.
That is true as well. Like say you saying, people are seeing it now online. Like all you have to do is look at your own profile, and you see the stunning views you're encountering while doing it, and it kind of brings you, doesn't give you the experience of it, but gives you a window into looking at, you know, what it's like when you get to the top of a summit, or you know what you experience while doing these kind of walks. I know, so obviously the social end of it obviously does play a huge part in that as well. You also said that you.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can respond to that.
So yeah, even when I go to climb or ski new peaks, I'll do like with the Beasthorn. I go on YouTube, search Beasthorn, look at someone's videos, like just to get more information about it. And the days before, I'll put hashtag Beasthorn or something and try and get some recent pictures of the conditions. And you've just got all this information that's just so easy. And then on Instagram, you can look at someone's picture and you message them, oh, did you climb it yesterday? They're like, oh, last week. And you're like, okay, you start to build a picture of, this is such like up-to-date information.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same with runs, I suppose. You know, like you could see someone going on a trail and message them like, oh, is this, how long did this take you? Or was it hard? And
yeah, you
can just, for things that maybe there isn't a guidebook for trail runs in some park in London, but you know, you could always message someone on social media, and whether they get back to you or not, or whether it's like the most accurate portrayal of the run, but it's a bit of information, and it just makes it that much easier for you to then get out and do it, whereas if you didn't know, then you might not go out and do it.
Yeah, because there's two aspects there. You know, you physically want to make sure you're able to do it, and then the other side is you mentally, at least you can mentally prepare for what you're going to take on. You know, today the hill run we did today was the second time doing that route, and the first time I kind of, stopped on a hill going into the mountain, and at least the second time around I knew if you push yourself a little bit further, the hill is just finished over that. Once you get around the bend, and at least if you saw on YouTube, like you said, or when you're talking to people there, they might tell you the first hill is 1.5 kilometers long, but it gets flat down a little bit, or you can mentally, because mental I think is a big thing. Like if it's going to, the incline's going to stop in 0.5 kilometer, you will push yourself that 0.5 kilometer and recover your heart rate while you're on the move on a flat, rather than that. So
you can prepare for it a bit more than it's just got new.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You said you were sponsored by sorry, what was the company?
Salomon.
How did that happen?
That was through having an Instagram following, and just they and someone I know who worked there sort of noticed it, and just sort of I fit in with their sort of ethos on what they wanted to promote, which is just like having fun in the mountains, and doing different sports, and just about getting outside and just like the hashtag, the key hashtag is time to play. So it's just go out and have fun. It doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter how long you go for or how many meters you do or whatever. It's just as long as you're having fun outside and in all aspects of sport.
Yeah,
it's been really good. It's been great having the support of a brand of products that I really like and I really use, and they're some of the best products for definitely some of the sports I do, for skiing and the running, trail running especially.
Yeah.
And it's a brand that I believe in the products as well. So it's not like I'm trying to push this ski or this so and so down someone's throat. It's like I use it. I think it's great. It's a no-brainer for me to work with a brand that I love, and the products that they make I use day to day. It's been great. It also means I don't have to work as much, because I'm not having to fork out for skis and boots and things every year, which is I'm really appreciative for that side of things.
Yeah, because I would say it's expensive, the gear, and everything you need with it.
Yeah, it can start to rack up if people want the newest or the lightest or the lighter skis and things, and it can get quite expensive.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, but that's good. That's amazing. And fair play to you. It's a great achievement to have a big company like that. Obviously, seeing that you're pushing, and they obviously have the similar mentality as yourself when it comes to the outdoors and getting things done as well. So that's pretty amazing. Fair play. What I might do is I will, if it's okay with you, I'll probably post a few after this video for people watching this on YouTube. This will mainly go through podcast feeds, but I'll put a few slides up of your recent climbs and the pictures that we've been talking about, and they can see that clip at the end of this talk. And that'd be okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you can share the photos that are on the page there.
Yeah, that's great. Fair play. Look, I appreciate you coming on. I wish you the best with your further climbs, and hopefully they'll be safe. And hopefully I didn't jinx you with the injury side of things.
No, I always err on the side of caution.
Yeah,
should be fine.
I appreciate you taking the time out, Joe. Fair play to you.
No, thanks. It's been great to. I've never done like a talk like this, so it's been good to just to get. Yeah, because I never really talk about some of this stuff anyway, so it's been quite interesting to me.
Instagram only goes as far as the pictures sometimes, doesn't it? Where it's good to hear, people's side of it. Like it's not a common sport. It's not as if everyone's a runner now, or everyone's a whatever. But it's good to get a kind of inkling into that kind of lifestyle or that kind of sport, because we wouldn't be used to it as much.
Yeah, it's hard to, like, when I speak to my auntie and uncle in mid Wales who are farmers, they don't grasp what I do. They think I'm going for a nice little walk in the mountains.
Yeah. No, fair play. Look, I really appreciate it, and might come across each other again, and I'll post this online. And look, thanks for taking the time out again.
No, thanks for you taking the time as well and having a chat. It's been good.
Yeah, I must. It's actually after giving me motivation to book a ski holiday, my next venture. So I might see you out there in the near future.
Ah, awesome! Yeah, do it. Good.
Fair play. Thanks a lot, Joe. All the best.
Okay. Cheers. Take care.
Thanks.